Donald Trump is once again threatening tariffs against Canada. He's real mad, but about what? Well, there are wildfires happening right now in eastern Canada, and, well, Canada, of course, as we all know, controls the weather. So they are directing, intentionally, all of the wildfire smoke down south towards Washington, D.C. and New York and all those northeastern states and choking them out in smoke. Donald Trump is now threatening tariffs over it to, get back at them, because as we all know, Canada controls the weather. Here I thought it was supposed to be the Jews in their worldview, but it's apparently the Canadians. They have ice wizards, so why not weather wizards as well? That said, I think this is just Donald Trump trying to find any excuse to try to swing his mushroom-sized dick around in the political, sort of geopolitical landscape. I think he just wants to try to get back at Canada a little bit for how badly they've hurt our economy by tariffing us back. The thing about America is when we tariff other countries, it hurts us. When other countries tariff us, it hurts us. We don't get to do tariffs as a way of hurting other economies. It just doesn't work that way. Anyway, let's go ahead and learn all about it, shall we?
President Donald Trump is threatening to raise tariffs on Canada over what he calls an unnecessary invasion of smoke from wildfires drifting across the border into the United States. There are currently nearly 900 such blazes across Canada, most of them burning out of control.
So Trump is just treating tariffs like they're a punishment to other countries when that's just so far from what it is. I told you guys that Trump still doesn't know what a tariff is. I told you guys. I swear it was like a week ago. Isn't DW Daily Wire? In this case, I don't think so. I don't think this is the Daily Wire. Maybe it is. It might be the Daily... Is it Daily Wire? Let's see. What's their... I don't think they have anything to do with Daily Wire. I think it's just the same... I think it's just the same acronym. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like Deutsch Well or something. Yeah. Yeah, it's a German thing, okay? It's German. Guys, it's not Daily Wire. They're just German. That was terrible.
Heavy smoke brought on by hundreds of Canadian wildfires is enveloping many American cities, including the capital, Washington, D.C., obscuring major landmarks and affecting the air quality for locals and tourists.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. I was walking up here from the African American Museum, and I was a little nervous.
Dude, I love the idea that slowly but surely DC is turning into Mordor. Like into like a gateway to hell, like it's gonna get smoky. We're gonna start having like astronomical phenomena occur where like the sun doesn't shine over DC. There's gonna be like weird weather events occurring where like there's just non-stop thunderstorms over DC all the time and scientists can't explain it. Like cracks are going to start forming in the earth where lava is going to spew out and fire and lava. Eventually like demons are going to start swarming the White House, not to attack it but to guard it, like they're amassing around their leader.
About my lungs and breathing it in.
I do have asthma, so I feel like it's going to end up getting to me a little bit after walking all around DC and everything.
You could see the smog and you could actually smell the smoke.
I don't really like the smoke. It's just because it's so smoky. I don't like it.
True.
In a social media post on Friday, Donald Trump said the U.S. was being unnecessarily invaded by filthy, polluted, and unhealthy air, the quality of which is dangerous and totally unacceptable. He went on to say this willful negligence must be added to the tariffs Canada is currently.
Willful negligence? Does Canada just want its own country to burn down? I mean, if you're a conservative, you probably think that, right? The enemy is both strong but also weak. So, like, Canada's too weak to stop its own fires.
Paying. The wildfires have put communities across Canada on high alert. The epicenter is northern Ontario, where nearly 200 active blazes have forced evacuations across many parts of the province. The Premier of Ontario had this reaction.
Man, don't let any of my Canadian friends know I said this, but Canada really is beautiful. God, like, the lodge... The little lodges and stuff. I've got a friend from Canada that lived in one of those, like, mountain getaway lodges and would live there all year around, even during the off season. And so it'd just be an empty lodge in the mountains. It was just like, man, I regret not going to visit them before they moved from that place. That would have been sick.
Action to comments by American politicians blaming Canada for the smoke.
I truly believe the Americans are good neighbors. If there's some politicians out there chirping away, well, maybe what you should do rather than complain is send support, send help, because we have done the exact same thing for our American friends, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney did not address the accusations directly. Instead, he suggested the U.S. do more to combat climate change, which scientists say is a driving factor of the increase in frequency and severity of wildfires.
Climate change? Scientists? That sounds very woke to me. I will not, no, I will not listen to anything about scientists or any kind of woke climate agenda from China. No, I'll never listen. No.
Was that a better impression? Did I cook with that one? Usually my impression I feel like is really bad. I think that one was better though.
Carney and Trump will likely run into each other on Sunday at the World Cup final in New York City, which is also being hit hard by haze and poor air quality as a result of the wildfires in Canada.
Well, a short while ago, I spoke to Matthew Capucci. He's a senior meteorologist at weather forecasting service MyRadar. He was in Arlington, Virginia, just across from Washington, D.C., and he explained to me how the smoke can travel such vast distances.
For starters, you just have a ton of smoke. These are incredibly tall boreal fires up in northwest Ontario releasing a ton of...
I like how everybody, the kid and him, both said, listen, for starters, there's just a lot of smoke. They said the same thing. It's great.
Material into the atmosphere, and it's surfing the jet stream east, this river of winds and the upper atmosphere all the way to the eastern seaboard. Unfortunately, that weather pattern looks to continue for quite a while. Now, the weird thing is, step outside here in the nation's capital, I can hardly see the Washington Monument, which is only about 1.5 kilometers away.
It looks like fucking Mordor, dude. Oh my god. Dude, I bet if it was nighttime, you couldn't see any stars, just like in Mordor. You can't see the sun. Dude, it literally looks like in the Odyssey, when Odysseus and his men go to the edge of the world, as it's called, to commune with the dead, and it's supposed to be like a gateway to Hades. Not Hades, but the underworld. Oh my god. It looks supernaturally haunted, and like, it looks like how in Dark Souls, everything is all foggy and gray, because the world is literally ending. That's what it looks like. We're in a falling civilization, and we're starting to get the Dark Souls color palette now.
Ordinarily, you can see up to about 15 kilometers from here, so we have visibilities like 10% of what we should have. Interestingly, the smoke doesn't really smell like smoke. It's not like a campfire. It smells almost plasticky, and the reason for that is it takes 1 or 2 days for the smoke to get here. The heavier aerosols that smell more smoky settle out, leaving behind things like volatile organic compounds that interact with sunlight to produce formaldehyde. So this smoke isn't just inconvenient and a nuisance, it actually increases your risk of heart attack, increases respiratory issues, your eyes might start to sting. This is the second time in 3 years it's been this bad. Right now, we have a code purple. It rivals the pollution in a place like Delhi, or even worse right now than Beijing.
This is your president, by the way. Instead of helping Canada put out the fires and manage this and maybe even tackle climate change to solve the root of the problem, God forbid we did that, you've got a guy who thinks tariffs and punishing Canada will somehow fix this. At the end of the day, no actual solutions for the people that are suffering. And you may not be affected by Donald Trump's policy now, but one day you will be. You'll be on the shit end of the stick eventually. No one gets to be an exception.
And this is all due to smoke.
It sounds pretty brutal, to say the least, Matthew. Now, many viewers will remember the smoke that blanketed North American cities back in 2023. I was there. I remember it. It was pretty awful. And we're seeing similar scenes again now.
Yep. And make no mistake, Canada did send firefighters down to LA to help with the Palisades fire. That was a big thing.
Is this becoming a regular occurrence because of climate change, essentially?
Well, fires are always going to happen. In the case of 2023, interestingly, there's a record heat dome or ridge of high pressure that brought hot sinking air, drying out the landscape in Canada, and then they got thunderstorms, partially thanks to that heat.
Lit
And
it
those
up.
thunderstorms were what sparked the lightning that made the fires. So in a roundabout way, it was catalyzed actually by climate change, and the fact that it's warmer and in many cases drier means you're much more likely to see bigger areas burned. So climate change is actually increasing the risk of extreme fire behavior, and that can lead to higher end overachieving events like this. And you can see that satellite imagery right there. I mean, my goodness.
Like, the crazy thing is that right-wingers have been so brainwashed that no longer is climate change a debate anymore. It's that if you entertain the idea of climate change, you're immediately sort of written off as a left-wing politics propagandist. You're not even allowed to debate climate change or mention climate change outside of calling it a hoax, or you're immediately written off. That is how much their propaganda has solidified around always never taking the left seriously. Never even listen to what they have to say. Because if you do, they might get you. I don't know.
All that smoke is just caught up in the jet stream pouring southeast. No wonder it's blanketing the eastern seaboard.
Zan, every Canadian conservative I've seen posting on Twitter that the government has failed because they are woke. Yeah, also, no doubt a lot of that is American accounts that are trying to literally psyop Canadians into, like, being American cucks, like Americucks. There's this they're doing it really hard in rural areas of Canada. Alberta's getting targeted hardcore by, like, literally American-run foreign political interference campaigns on Canadians.
Under an incredibly thick, toxic shroud of fine particulates.
Now, I mean, you've mentioned it now a few times that it's essentially this air is toxic. And for people looking out their windows and seeing these hazy skies or these smoky skies, you've mentioned the health risks, but can you just sort of tell us really how...
I genuinely think, because it's already a crime, the Canadian government needs to put serious resources into hunting down, like, everybody involved with foreign governments that's, like, trying to fuck with their politics internally and fine them severely. They've done it to plenty of people who did it publicly and openly. I would love to see some of these bot farms, like American or Russian bot farms, charged criminally, maybe, by Canada. That would go hard, or at least fined. Because I think the penalty with Canada, when you, like if you're a non-Canadian and you tell people to vote for somebody who's running in a Canadian election, I think Canada will fine you. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a thing.
Serious they are, and who should be most concerned and what precautions they should be taking?
That's a great point. You know, I hate to say it, but it's almost like the COVID days in that you want to break out the N95 mask. Anything to filter out those fine particulates. And just to give you all some idea, these particulates are about 2.5 microns across. In other words, 1/30th the diameter of a human hair. And that's why if you breathe those into your lungs in concentrations like we have right now, that's bad for anyone.
Oh no, we're talking about masks again. No, I thought we were done. No. $5,000, I remember the John Oliver segment. Okay, so I'm not misremembering that. I was worried I was misremembering it.
Not just the elderly, not just the vulnerable, not just those with respiratory issues. It's bad for everybody. And so I'd say minimize outdoor exposure, skip the jog, skip the afternoon walk, stay indoors if at all possible, and for...
Stay inside and play video games all day? Oh... Well, if you say so, I guess. You know, I mean, listen, the experts say that's what I gotta do.
For folks with air conditioning units, set their HVAC to only recirculate indoor air. Don't bring in air from the outdoors until this clears, sometime in the next 24 to 36 hours.
Tell us, you've mentioned there before a little bit about the weather conditions. What is it that what combination of conditions do you have to have for this situation to arise?
Well, unfortunately, east of the Hudson Bay, we have a counterclockwise spinning low over like northern Quebec, northern Ontario. And that's just kind of pinwheeling all this smoke south and east. And unfortunately, that weather pattern doesn't look to budge for the next week to 10 days, perhaps until the calendar flips to August. We do have some cold fronts that'll come through and periodically make the air a little bit better. But here's the crazy part. Later on this afternoon, we're expecting scattered showers and thunderstorms.
So I'm not even wrong. Based on what the weather patterns are going to be, it's going to be a prolonged period of the smoke wafting around over DC for like weeks before any cool like jet streams or whatever you want to call them come and blow this shit away. So I'm not like, I wasn't even wrong. Dude, DC's gonna look like literally Mordor for the next 2 weeks. Oh my god. Oh my god. I feel so bad for the people of DC, but you have to admit, it's so atmospherically perfect. It feels like God has done this, almost, right? Like this feels like a sort of divine intervention. Like, and then the Lord began to divert the smoke of every wildfire in the land towards his city, as such to tell him he has angered the Lord. Some shit like that, some Old Testament style God fucking with some king that pissed him off or something, you know? I'm just saying, it's got that vibe, alright? Maybe it's time we all get together and we pray for something very funny to happen.
Down the East Coast. Those thunderstorms are also forming in a smoky layer, so there's a chance that we scavenge the smoke out of the air and produce dirty raindrops, literally ashy, sooty raindrops that make your cars and the ground dirty as a result.
That's pretty, you're painting a pretty scary picture there, Matthew, to say the least. Now, the story has also sparked a political row between Washington and Ottawa, but from a meteorological perspective, what does it tell us about the fact that climate and environmental disasters just don't respect national borders?
You're 100% correct. I mean, I know there are some politicians who want to sue Canada for the fires, but by that logic, should Canada be able to sue us every time it's hot and humid because the air is coming from us? I mean, forest management is something that is very important.
No, but we should be able to sue them.
Would be the answer.
At the same time, it's unrealistic to expect that type of management of boreal uninhabited forests. But it goes to show you that anytime you have a disaster like this that can affect a large portion of a continent, the response has to be from multiple different agencies, multiple different countries. No country exists in a vacuum, and the weather certainly, as you said, does not respect borders.
All right, Matthew, we'll leave it there, but really great to get that update and also that explanation of what is happening. Matthew.
Hey, Rince, what's up, buddy? I'll sue Canada. I can call Harvey Specter. True. True. Real. Well, Canada, thank you for the fires. I think it's really funny that Trump is getting pissed off about them. I am sad about the people caught in the line of you know, fire and smoke. It's pretty sad, you know, people dealing with health issues, but Donald Trump's also breathing that smoke, so yeah, I ain't gonna cry over it, okay? I'm not gonna cry over it. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this segment, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really does help a ton, and I appreciate it immensely. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you're new here and you want to see more from me in the future. And as always, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Have a good one.